Hello friends, AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink with a card for this week's Color Throwdown Challenge. Trying to get caught up with things on top of this one more thing piling on top of another on top of the website issues and all the stuff I addressed in a previous video. Anywho, for this week's Color Throwdown Challenge, the colors were very fall-esque, and I was like, you know, I need to do more fall cards. I love the color combos for fall. I love fall-themed cards, even though we have a ton of snow here and got very close to minus 40 this morning. It's chilly. Anyway, I'm using the Trinity stamps filled with gratitude stamp set. And I am inking it up with VersaFine Clair Fallen Leaves ink, so dark brown ink. I'm stamping it onto Strathmore watercolor paper. Have it in my little mini MISTI here. I'd use my anti-static powder tool first, and then stamped the image with that Fallen Leaves ink. Stamped it a couple times to make sure I got all the detail. And then I am coating this with Wow's Clear Matte Dull embossing powder so that I can heat emboss this, but you won't be able to tell really that it's heat embossed because it has the dull finish. You can always skip this step. I just like it because it gives that little raised edge that makes, it's like my little security blankie when I'm watercoloring. You could also use just clear embossing powder. That works just as well. Depends on my mood. So this time I went with the dull, and then once it's heat embossed, I'm using my Karin BRUSHMARKER Pros to do the watercoloring. That's also why I use the Strathmore watercolor paper, because these Karin BRUSHMARKER Pros with Strathmore watercolor paper are like the perfect match. They just work so well together. So well together. So that first little bit was watercoloring in real time, because I do not move this fast at all in real life in any way, shape, or form, but especially coloring. Now it's like super sped up, but it's very simple coloring. I will have a link to the Color Throwdown Challenge. I'll have the graphic in my post and a link to the challenge in my blog post, which will be linked directly below the video for those that want to check it out. If you want to play along, it's open to everyone. We do this just for fun. And my main go-to with these markers is I just scribble on the color, and then I move it around with either a water brush or a wet paint brush. Again, whatever floats your boat. I find this combo with the Strathmore watercolor paper, the BRUSHMARKER Pros, and then a water brush is just perfection. Like, everything just moves. It's easy. The colors are vibrant. And yeah, this image looked and does look a lot more intimidating just because there's like so much going on. But once you actually start coloring it, it's a really easy image to color. Like, they're just a bunch of leaves. So you can do whatever colors you want. I did bring in a tiny little bit of olive green that wasn't part of the color challenge, but I just wanted it to sort of balance all of these like reds and yellows and oranges. And I only used 3 colors, like a red, a yellow, and an orange. That's it. I mixed them together on some of the leaves. Other ones I did just, you know, solid yellow, solid red, solid orange, etc. And simple, you know, and then added a little bit of that dark olive green just on a little bit, you know, just to give it that little something. So, like I said, I love this image. I showed this when I did a release and review video on the Trinity stamps fall, Halloween and fall release. I'll link to that video if you guys missed it. I'll link to it at the end of this one. You can check it out, because there was a bunch of other fall products that are just fabulous. And then of course the Halloween products, some of which I've already used in a video, and I'll link to that one as well. And yeah, so once I was done coloring in this image, I'm going to use the coordinating wafer die to die cut it. So I'm going to tape that into place with a little bit of washi tape so that the die does not move when I run it through my die cut machine. And then while I was doing my die cutting, I had also turned on my GLIMMER hot foil system, because for my background, I decided to use the vintage tin tile hot foil plate because it is beautiful. So I have my machine on, and normally with these large plates, if you struggle with them, like getting a evenly foiled image, is you heat up the system, you put the plate on, press the button. Once the timer's gone off, shut everything off and do it a second time, like to get enough heat on the plates. This time, and I've shown that in other videos, but this time I decided not to do that. I was just curious. I was like, I wonder. So I have the vintage tin tile hot foil plate on my Glimmer hot foil machine. The machine had heated up. I put the plate on. I put my foil on. I'm using some Spellbinders. This is the Christmas Sparkle Variety Pack. The red was just beautiful. So I'd put that on with the pretty side of the foil facing the plate. Red cardstock. Pressed it, went until the timer went off. Right here is real time. When I'm doing large, backgrounds with hot foil like this, run it through your machine slowly. That's why I showed it in real time. Because usually, I speed this all up in editing. But run it through very slowly. And I got a perfect impression. Love when that happens, like a chef's kiss. There is something so satisfying. You peel it off and it's like, oh. Love it. This would make a beautiful Christmas background as well. Like, I'm going for a fall card today, but as soon as I did this, I was like, oh, these would be just gorgeous for Christmas backgrounds. Like, oh, love. So anyway, while I was, waiting for the hot foil to heat up off to the side, I was die cutting the sentiments. This is the Grateful sentiment die set. And I die cut a couple layers just from scraps of yellow cardstock. And the top layer I die cut from some gold glitter cardstock. And I am stacking those together with my Craft Tacky glue. And that Craft Tacky glue bottle, that's my detail glue bottle that I've screwed a little metal detail tip. And I have a non-rusting pin. I have links to those because I always get asked about that. They are linked next to the bottle of glue in the supplies, as always. So I stacked the 2 layers of the yellow cardstock together, and then I'm topping it with the gold glitter cardstock layer. And then the outline for this wafer die, I die cut from vellum, just to give it that little extra something, and it helps the sentiment to stand out just a bit. So I'm going to put adhesive on the back of the word. Going to press that into the vellum outline. I really like this vellum outline. It depends on the wafer dies and the sentiments. Like, yeah, but then again, I say I like everything. I like it all. I like the options and the variety. Anyway, this one I like because I like how it cut out the centers around too. It's not a big outline. It's fairly tight, So after I had the outline adhered, flipped it over and then applied glue right directly behind the word so that no adhesive will show through the vellum. And then I'm going to adhere that right onto my little envelope full of leaves that I had watercolored. So got that adhered into place, and then I'm going to pop that onto the background. I trimmed the background down to be smaller than my A2 card, and then I'm going to pop that image there right onto that foiled background. And then I've got the inside of my card, which is my card base is a top folding A2 white note card. And I'd cleaned off the stamp, and I'm inking it up with Simon's Melon ink. I just thought it was sort of a nice, like, light, soft orange would be perfect for this card. And I missed a couple spots when I was inking it, which is why the MISTI is so wonderful. Inked up those missing spots with the ink, stamped those, and then I took the sentiment that comes with the Filled with Gratitude set, lined that up on the inside, and that I'm inking up with that Fallen Leaves VersaFine Clair ink. It's got that stamped into place. So then the inside's done. Now I can adhere the card front to the card base. And then, of course, I'm going to add some bling just to finish it off. Even though I got, the color and the glitter of the cardstock and the foil background. Still going to add some bling. So I have some Trinity stamps. I have Seashore confetti and Port Wine confetti. So I'm going to kind of sprinkle those around the card. And then once I'm happy with the placement, I'll adhere these into place with little dabs of Craft Tacky glue, just picking them up with my embellishment wand and then pressing them into the glue. And then once these are adhered, this card is complete. So like I said earlier on in the video, I will have a link below this video in the description box, like I do with all my videos. I will have a link to the blog post. I'll have a supply list. I'll link to all the supplies I used. At the very end of this video, I'll link to the release and review I had done, as well as one of the Halloween cards I'd made with some Trinity Stamps products. So you can check that out at the end as well. And then, yeah, I think that's it for the moment. Stay tuned. I have a bunch of videos coming as I'm just diving through footage and doing all the things. So thank you, as always, for taking the time to watch my videos. Thumbs up, comment, very much appreciated. Subscribe if you haven't. And I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Bye, guys.